call the meeting to order. I'm gonna see if anybody else is on the call. I think Liz is out there.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, Liz. Hi, Scott. And Ginger is actually in person. We're using her phone. So, hi, everybody. We're here at the Green Space Advisory Commission meeting, and we are recording this meeting. Ginger, do you want to go ahead and take roll?
Yes.
Speak loudly, everyone.
Carrie Coyne.
Here.
Ginger Garrett. I'm here. Emily Horton.
Here.
Jeannie Kleckner.
Here.
Liz James.
Here.
Laura Jordan.
Here.
Joel Mulkey.
Here.
Jerry Pinkner.
No, Jerry.
Jerry yet? Okay. Corin Purcell.
I'm here.
Emily Hickson Shepherd.
Coming.
She's coming. Okay.
Nice.
And Yvonne.
Here. And then
And we have a
Sinan Al-Basla, the Public Works Department. Thank you.
nice to meet you.
You too.
Sinan. Thank you. Just to give a little background for Sinan, you've been in your position what, like a week, 2 now? 3 weeks. Welcome to the city. Dr. Peoples said that Sinan and Yvonne are going to be, at least for the short term, I didn't get a whole lot of more information about it, but they're going to be our co-liaisons for city staff. So thank you for joining us, and we'll kind of watch how that unfolds, but we're glad to have you here tonight because we want to talk about the tree planting that's related to the Public Works Department.
This was very last minute.
Okay.
Just 2 colleagues. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
We're going to show.
Okay.
Yourself.
Okay, well, if you don't mind, since you're with us for the long haul tonight, we're just gonna go ahead with our agenda. And I'm gonna call for the approval. Anybody want to make a motion to approve the August minutes? And second?
A second.
Corin, second.
Look good to me.
Thank you. Okay, we don't have any other visitors tonight. We don't have any visitors tonight. So we'll jump right into old business, and yeah, if you could pass it around, that would be great. First item on old business is the Green R City update, and that's, I've just been emailed. So you can kind of go through this. They've kind of laid out our process because that position has been in a little bit of flux. We've had some communication hiccups this year, and this is sort of a summary of how this communications will work with Public Works in the future. So it looked like a fairly good summary to me. We did have some questions after reading this, which Gosha followed up with today. So basically, we wanted to just confirm that trees were being picked up for our planting on October the 5th. We wanted to confirm delivery, mulch delivery, basically all the prep that Public Works is going to be doing, calling utilities to make sure they dig right before we plant, and make sure that all the materials are there. And the email I got today from Gosha is that the utility locates will be called in later this week. They are going to auger the holes after locates are clear, and that can take up to 5 days. And they're going to pick up trees early next week, and they'll follow up with delivery days of trees and materials after that. We don't have specific, tree locations at residences, but it sounds like that will be made clear after they pick up the trees and probably mark, the locations. And then the last question I had for this group was who would be joining us for the day, and Gosha's gonna help plan. And I know Gosha through the college, she was students in our program, so I'm pretty excited that she's working with you guys, because I know she's passionate about this stuff, and I know there's been a little pushback from Public Works, some of the people before you. So it was really great to see that Gosha was on board, and hopefully that can really open up some avenues for communication.
And she told me today, she said that her goal is to start examining, complete examining the locations, and then to match the trees to the location. So we have some trees in our nursery, but we are going to be getting more trees. And so she's going to look at that inventory and make those match the trees to the location. And then, yes, dig right calls, as well as looking at the general location to make sure that the overhead utilities are not an issue. And after that, notification to the residences. I think at these locations has it been completed, or am I on the right track for that?
Well, we, in the middle of August, we had a workshop. And residents came to that who expressed interest in the program, and we gave them some education about taking care of new trees and establishing them and planting them. And then just talked about the urban canopy or the urban forest, the bigger picture, and what an asset it is to the city. So we have a list of residents and their addresses, and kind of generally what size tree they're supposed to get, or what maximum characteristic size, not the container size. But so we know those. In the past, we've been able to create information to give to the homeowner at the time of planting that describes what the tree is that they're getting, you know, details about Kentucky coffee tree, for example, why it would be a great tree and what's special about it and how it helps the urban canopy. So getting that information. So, and I sent that list to you guys. So figuring out which tree, sounds like Gosha's gonna do, is gonna go at each location, and then getting that to us would be the next thing that we could do. But there were several residents, and I made some notes on the list that I gave you guys, several residents that had questions, like, is it gonna go to the left of my driveway or to the right of my driveway? I don't want a red bud, things like that. So I think that's just individual conversations that either Gosha needs to have, or Andre, since he's the arborist, or you.
Yeah, that's in advance of planning.
Yes, right, so that he knows where to dig the holes, and that he doesn't get any crazy feedback from the homeowners. So if you have any questions, or if Gosha wants to go through that list of people with me, just to kind of flush it through and see what the questions were, I'm happy to talk to her on the phone.
Okay. Tree information, is it a species specific?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, and we've created, I forget who worked on that, maybe Liz worked on that last year. We created cut sheets that, you know, say all the benefits of the tree and the characteristics and things like that. So we've got those done. We might have to do a couple more depending on the new species that are here, because I think cherry bark is new, right? And that guy.
I don't
So there
remember
might-
doing that one.
What'd you say, Liz?
I don't think we did that one last year, just from recollection. I can add it for sure, so.
And the Ohio buckeye, I don't think we did either.
What was the first one?
Cherry bark oak
Okay,
and the Ohio buckeye.
got it.
I can look up scientific names on those and get them to you.
Oh, okay, you probably don't need to, I mean, I can figure it out.
I want to make you, as we all know, common names are very common and are often confused.
Yeah, it was
We wanna
tricky
make
last year,
sure-
but I got there
Yeah, we want to make sure we are using the correct scientific name to ID the tree.
for sure.
Okay. Did you have any other questions or want to, sorry, I'm,
So the resident called
Mhm.
on Barstow, and she wanted to be added, but we said that there was a cutoff date as well as the workshop, so the residents that are getting the trees now have already attended the workshop.
Correct.
So she asked about next year's, so I'll get that information for her. She will be ready for next year. She's one of the locations where a tree was removed, so she
Okay.
wants a tree. So, Ms. Harris.
Okay. Well, I know you're brand new and you've got a lot of things on your plate, but I think it would be great before the end of the year if we could talk about, I know at one point in time, I think Public Works was thinking about maybe taking this initiative on in some way themselves, that's what our end goal was, to get more trees planted. So I would really like to engage maybe with Gosha or you and Gosha, like how could what we're doing transition to support what Public Works wants to do? If you guys just want to keep a list of where you want to put trees, we could be the educational part of that and get people on a list and do kind of the outreach part of it to educate people about why the community forest is so important to Webster Groves as far as green infrastructure. So that would be kind of, I think, an after October 5th thing. But I would really like to see, I think would all like to see more trees planted than just this number. So I think if we can support whatever you guys are doing, that would be the end game.
Yeah, I think that Greener City that Public Works supports now, right? And so I think that talking about transitioning, like we can do both too. So we could transition or also like Public Works can plant trees, does plant trees, right? Like already. And so if the resident who contacted is a good candidate for Public Works to just put a tree there, like that's fine too. Like she doesn't have to wait maybe part of the Greener City initiative next fall if Public Works wants to go ahead and take care of that
So,
in advance.
The related question from the street superintendent was whether it's still best to plant at locations where the residents have attended the workshop in terms of maintenance, ongoing maintenance, especially Andre told to me about 2 years are critical after the first plant.
Yeah, so what's nice about this program and what the major goal that we were trying to do by developing the program was to educate people about watering trees, right? That's critical during that first 2 years. And what we know is at this point I don't know if Public Works is set up to water trees. Like, do they have a tank on the back of a truck? So there's a lot of things that go into planning how to water. So this initiative was like, well, let's train people to water. We'll get them in the ground and then Public Works can just take up maintenance after they're established. So it was a way to help Public Works get trees anywhere or everywhere throughout the city and then not have to, because that's a task, right? You could set one person out to water for a long time if you're going throughout the whole city. So that was just kind of trying to ease the burden on Public Works. So if Public Works has a way of long-term maintenance, like watering on a weekly basis during the establishment period, then I think that is fantastic.
A lot of the resources that meeting needs, I know everybody's aware of that. The RIDE came from University City, the economic development, there was an EDRS, economic development, real retail sales tax, and a corridor that was applicable. There was a gator that they obtained and there was the district that was responsible for it. They contracted with somebody part-time, and that was their job to water the trees. And I believe there can be other solutions in the absence of available manpower, but I'll certainly take on those items of discussion with the department. And I know we're looking to hire more people, so it's just, I know Andre, as a certified arborist, he pours concrete some days. And
Yeah.
so, green and gray really doesn't match, under one task. But he does it. He's a versatile employee, and that's great to have for us. But Andre was in University City before, so I worked with him. I never saw him pour concrete in University City. And so
Well, they have their own forestry
they
division,
do-
right? So that's different than
Yes,
the city of Webster.
right.
Yeah, so it's really, I think, like looking at the bigger picture, and this is the question for city council and administration, like how important is the urban canopy to the infrastructure that supports the city, and do we need to, can we help?
Yes, and it's a part of the infrastructure. It's turning more and more green too in what we do, stormwater retention.
Right.
A lot of other benefits too. So,
But we originally seen that the power that planting a tree, right? The return on investment you get for planting a small tree over decades, the green infrastructure value that it gives is big,
yes.
right? It's the only infrastructure, a tree is the only infrastructure that you can plant, and it starts to gain value. It starts to increase what it's bringing back as opposed to gray infrastructure. So when we didn't see trees going in, we thought we gotta start that. It's gonna, which I don't need to talk to you about all the benefits of trees. So that's why we really started, to try and just get movement in that way. So I think that's something that the city needs to think more about in general. Because there's a lot of study, you can talk about that, study on, urban heat island effect and utility costs, and when trees just keep coming down and down, it's bad for everyone.
And it's beneficial for us as well because the species that are selected are for that available space.
Mhm.
So that because if not, then we have to deal with it additionally on
Right.
sidewalk infrastructure
Right.
Issues.
Or utilities, or,
Or
yeah,
utilities.
yeah, I agree. Well, that's what, last year and the year before that, we were able to work with Andre to pick out a list of species and, find the right tree for the right spot. So we just haven't had that good of communication here. So it sounds to me like October 5th is still a date they are capable of meeting. Yeah, okay. All right, are there any questions specifically about the October 5th planting? But then we could also say bigger questions about working with Public Works on trees in the future.
Sounds like a good plan for interconnection or ownership of the project.
Any other thoughts or?
So are you gonna send out a list of workers and how many?
Yeah, I've been sort of working on that. I know that Laura is on for the 5th, and Corin and Ginger and Joe, possibly. You're getting trees, so you're gonna be helping there. I am on the list, and Gosha, so I think we might need your help, Yvonne, that day, if you can do that.
need me, I can go someplace else. If that's what
Well, you're getting 3 trees, right?
I didn't.
I think you are.
Still, if I needed someplace else, he could be at home.
Okay.
If the numbers.
Okay. So yes, I guess tonight I wanted to confirm that it was still happening and then I was gonna put the team list together. Okay. Well, we've got 24 trees total at 21 residences. So we'd have to divide that by our number of teams. Do you remember how many trees we planted last year with each team? That's what I thought. I think we had five teams. Yeah, so I'm hoping to keep 5 teams since we have less and do a few less trees.
They have the lead.
Yeah, I think we had 9 on our team. Is that right?
Yeah, I want to make sure we're keeping the teams smaller, just more efficiency, kind of move through quicker with each resident, because it did take a long time. And,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. So hopefully we won't have those issues this time. So I'm hoping maybe 5 or 4 trees per group this time around. Yes, she can't help that day.
Whatever happened with that house on Iowa that had asphalt under the hole?
They are on the list,
For
and
this year,
that's one of the questions that I need to talk to maybe Gosha or you about Sanan. There's on the spreadsheet that I sent, there's a column that says like questions for Public Works. And one of those locations, we tried to plant a tree at last year, but the hole that was augured just skimmed the surface of probably a sidewalk or asphalt or something underneath. And when I talked to Andre about it, he seemed to think we could dig that to make a better prepare for a tree. So I just wanted to make sure that conversation was had. But if I could could I arrange a call with Gosha maybe like tomorrow or?
She will be available. I'll remind her that.
Well, I'll email her and you, and then we can select a time that works for her to chat. And then I can go through that list of comments, so she'd be aware of something like that.
Yes. You said Andre also knew about that location.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. And then last year we need to just double check the addresses and the dig right. Last year we had one site, there were 2 addresses that were like the exact same but on a different street, and they were at a corner, and the utilities got marked for the wrong address. And then was that right? No, the utilities got marked for the correct address, but the incorrect address had the hole dug, so you had to dig the hole.
Like, they were like, oh,
Yeah,
take a tree.
they got a tree. But you guys had to dig a hole at the correct.
Yeah.
So we just want to make sure that all the correct locations get all the dig right markings and dig. And I could just confirm that with Gosha as well. Okay. Any questions?
Any specific products?
We for the last 2 years got bag mulch from Site 1, which is I think a contractor or a location not far from here that the city has an account with. I could send you a link of that product. Were they 3 cubic foot bags or 2?
I think it's 3.
So I could send that in the email to Gosha.
And if you want to send the invoice to me, I can put the account number on it or give you the account number. Okay.
I have a contact there that's helped in the past couple of years, so I can give his name to Gosha as well, so you know who to talk to.
Yeah, 'cause I think last year Public Works did the dig right, dug the hole, left the tree,
And left the
and left the
bags
2
mulch.
bags of mulch. And then we brought the buckets.
We brought the stuff for the homeowner,
Yeah.
bucket and a magnet, and this year we'll have tags to put on the trees.
and cut sheets.
Yeah. If we get the information about the trees, we'll. I think it was just a double ground mulch, something they usually have on hand, but they had it delivered.
Right.
Not that you need to do that this time. I think
Oh, yeah.
you can pick it up pretty easily from them. And then the trees themselves need to be picked up from Forest Relief. And there's a little bit of a lead time there. You're supposed to call them and schedule a pickup time. And I think Vaughn sent that information to, again, just as a reminder, is it to Frank and Andre or, yeah, like a couple of weeks ago with the contact. What's it, Jake?
Big Raquel.
Jake Ruckel.
Forest Relief.
Gotta spell it right. Do you have any other questions?
No,
on-
great
Okay.
information and great preparation.
Yeah, we prepped for quite a while. We've been trying to get prepared since January of last year, so that's why I want to talk to you not long after we do this planting to kind of gear up for next year. Yeah. Or how it's gonna work. Okay. Are we good? Okay. Then let's move on to the next item of business, old business, which is the grant subcommittee update.
Okay, so I have copies, so Emily has a copy, if you three can look there. Joe and I will share this one.
And I was asking around, I brought my copy with me.
Well, this
actually.
isn't
Oh, okay.
updated, and I do wanna make sure Yvonne gets a copy at the end, because there's specific Yvonne questions.
Okay.
So, Emily, Ginger, and myself are on the grant subcommittee the last couple months. And we've met twice, once three of us and once with Carrie, and we've each done research and have made some forward movement. So there's three kind of yellow highlighted areas, and Yvonne has double. So I spoke to a friend who's a grant writer, and she suggested going to the foundation directory. And that took a little wading through because it's not immediately apparent, but if you keep reading, you have to have a paid subscription, but the county library has a paid subscription you can access if you go through a one-to-one training. Well, it doesn't have to be one-to-one. Emily was going to come with me, but a training with the librarian. So I went and did that. Then Emily and I went to the library, and you have to do your search there at the library, and you get 1 hour on the computer. So in that 1 hour, we came up with 7 potential funding sources. And then when we met again with Carrie, we eliminated one of them. So these are the 6 funding sources we're looking at. And this is to get funding to make up, this to create a position, a volunteer, a position of someone who can coordinate volunteers. So this is ongoing. We're going to the next level of research with these foundations, actually looking for applications and stuff. So Ginger has 2, Emily has 2, and I have 2. An additional gathering of information. Ginger's going to look into the Rotary Club. I'm going to look at U City of Bloom. I saw a friend of mine who volunteers with them, and he was telling me they're a 501c. And so we're going to just see how other communities are coordinating their volunteers. And Forest Relief, which has a number of volunteers. Emily is going to look into Forest Park Forever, where she volunteers. And she also got the job description for the volunteer coordinator, Kirkwood. So I made that a smaller font. 2 different postings of the job description from Kirkwood. And then that takes us to the third area, which is what we need, which is kind of all from Yvonne. We anticipate that we will need a job description of some sort when we get to the application process. And then in our last meeting, it was kind of like, well, who paid for that trailhead with the skateboard
Oh.
park over at Owen
We were
Bridge?
talking about funding sources, and I thought that I thought it was Bellwether, is that the name of I thought there was an additional grant from a community
The city
organization.
paid, the city paid for a large portion of that, and then it was Great Rivers Greenway. And Great Rivers Greenway got a grant from the Bellwether Foundation for the Greenway portion, but
That's what I thought, was the Bellwether Foundation.
So is that one we should stay away from or maybe look at?
I would just look at it, and you don't have to reach out to them to see what is available.
Is that all one word, bellwether?
I don't know.
I'll look. And another question, and we don't have to address it this minute, but we want to try to understand what the greenkeepers are and just to understand what we're looking for versus what they're doing. And then the fourth bullet point was is the Missouri Department of Conservation grants.
Yeah.
We should steer clear of them. Okay.
I want to leave.
So
Can you remind us?
before you do greenkeepers and those things, I just have to do my duty as
Yeah.
a council liaison and say like, grant writing and seeking is a huge commitment on the part of the city.
Right.
So we have to be really judicious in what we want to go for, and we have to keep city staff, including Dr. Peoples specifically, in the loop on this stuff. And Yvonne can help with that commission. It's not gonna, with that communication, but we should not be committing ourselves, deciding what we're gonna do. We shouldn't be doing any of that without the buy-in from the city way up front. It takes a lot of time and resources, and often there's cost sharing as well. We've just had some situations in city with but boards and commissions where much has been done on a grant and then city staff kind of comes and thought about it later and it's a big crunch. We also have resources in the city to help with the preparation of the grants and submission of grants. Of course, we need lead time to be able to take it.
Right.
So I just like, as we're talking about like reaching out to foundations and things like that, we're not in a position yet to commit to, we're gonna submit to this or to that. I think it's good to do the research, figure out what we wanna do, but then we wanna make sure that we have sign off from Dr. People specifically, which Yvonne's not gonna help with, to make sure we're good before we actually pursue a particular opportunity.
We haven't reached out. It's all been just research. If I.
Great, this is not a hand slap, this is just a, like a reminder because they're excited. and it's great, and like we.
One of our big questions, how is this actually managed within the city structure? We have no clue.
And it does take,
Right,
it's staff to manage, as you know, to manage the grants, and so,
well, that's another problem, that is the scale of the thing, because
right,
the big ones, they're immense, and it would take another one or two staff people just to manage the grant.
right.
So those kinds of things are off the table for
Yeah,
us
yeah.
altogether,
The
so.
city just cut the Safe Streets for All grant that's underway, that has staff positions in it. It's kind of the big undertaking right now, we just don't wanna stretch the staffing resources more than. But is there anything else that I need to talk about on the grant?
Well, so who does manage the grant administration for grants like that?
Finance would do the money piece of it, right?
Good to know.
And then we have staff specifically to manage like the
Right.
deliverables and the work of the grant itself. But
Right.
finance manages the financial
Right.
part.
Who actually did the leg work or the application work for the Safe Streets for All grant?
We have a contracted organization that we use for some things and they might have been involved with that. Scott, do you remember on that one?
it was kind of a joint task. City staff put a bunch of stuff together. I think that grant company did come in at the end and help polish it up and submit it. But oftentimes it falls to the directors to manage projects and grants that are inside of each individual department. So I manage a lot of them as we get mini park grants for $500,000 and things of that nature. Those usually just reside in my department, and I manages the whole aspect from writing the grants to submittals on the back end and get reimbursed and whatnot.
So Emily, if I email this to you, would that be a good first step for you then being able to share with city council that Green Space is beginning to look at this?
Yeah, why don't you email it to the three of us, Ellie and Carrie too, and then we
Well, I'm
can.
wondering if it might, I mean, I don't want to stop that, but I'm wondering if it might be just kind of first, you know, we had this grant committee in our action plan for the year, so maybe just give an update on it, like,
If you wanna go a little bit further, that's okay, and have, cause I know there's still have research to do, that's fine too.
Oh, yeah, this is just to say, these are the steps thus far, this is being looked at.
Yeah.
So that it won't be a surprise.
Yes.
did you have
And I guess,
something?
sorry, can I
Go
jump in?
ahead.
I guess one of the other things was to, we really need to make sure that we've got a tight scope of what we're looking at and who we're looking at it for and how long the position we're trying to fund is. Because a lot of those grants, they may pay for 1 year or 2 years, but then there's no funding after that. And so then, if we're hiring staff on for this, then we have to fire staff when the grants run out because we no longer have city funds to cover those positions. So that's one of the big concerns with anytime you're bringing somebody on board for these type of grant positions is what do you do down the road? Is it a project specific need where the project's only 6 month duration and then it's over with? Or is it, a revolving volunteer coordinator? Well, we've always got volunteer coordinators, but the money will run out at some point. Then the city doesn't have excess funds to cover that position. So that's where we really need to keep me involved in the process so that I can then funnel that information upwards to Dr. Peoples and the city can then make that decision, whether it's position or it's a grant process that we want to go for, and then we can manage the expectations and the deliverables and everything else.
Right, because we could, I mean, there's no, maybe there is, if it was a grant position that was funded for a year or 2 years, is that, I mean, and we go in with that expectation and the person taking the job knows it's a short-term position, but we can do a lot in 2 years. There's some benefit to that, right? Versus it's ongoing.
There certainly can be benefit to that. It just, those expectations really have to be tight and laid out in advance. And it might even be a contract position versus a full-time or part-time position so that that contract is evenly stated that it's 18-month duration or whatever it is. It's just real hard to fire people. I don't like doing it. So that's one of the things why we want to make sure we get it tight specs on whatever it is we may be looking for so that we can send it up the chain for approvals through the city hall and city council if it needs to go to them for additional staffing.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what Jeannie and her group were trying to do is just talk to other organizations and look at their job descriptions, whether they're grant funded or part-time or full-time, and figure out maybe some ideas about what could work for this position.
This is our kind of our baby step first subcommittee report. I don't think you have to worry about us doing anything actionable at this
We'll be writing
point.
any grants.
I'm sure that's probably a concern for them though, right? Like, I'm sure there are commissions who just.
And then I think to kind of piggyback on Scott's talking about what happens to the position, also thinking about like what happens to the work and the projects that this position is doing for those 2 years when this funding runs out. What happens to those projects specifically?
That, right, I mean, we have questions about that, what are we really doing here? So finding a person.
Has the city ever talked about hiring a part-time volunteer coordinator?
Yeah.
Scott, do you know?
Yvonne and I have talked about volunteers a lot. I
But
don't,
hiring
I,
somebody specifically for that position?
no, I would have other positions that I would hire first if someone gave me money to hire a position. I would bring back some of the I bring back some of the positions that were lost during the COVID layoff era, and some of those
Yeah.
are at a higher priority.
That's why I feel like this was a good, and I know that other communities have done this, a good idea for a grant funded position.
Or if you find someone who wants to volunteer, a
You know,
volunteer for it.
I think the Motor Club might actually be a source of someone like that. Because they already have its own project. One at Blackburn Park that my husband is working on, and they're pretty well organized.
Yeah,
I mean,
man, yeah,
yeah,
Vincent.
right. So it's entirely possible that there is someone in that organization. Who could, yeah.
So the 4 people I should email this to are, Emily, Carrie, Sanan, and Yvonne.
If you send it to me, I'll forward it and make sure that you have Dina's email address.
It is on the.
Oh, it is, okay. Okay.
And I think it would make me feel really good if at the top of that, you just put like a statement of intent, or where like say, this is a first baby step. Right.
Yeah.
Preliminary
Yeah.
research.
It's
Yeah.
just research, it's not action.
Yeah.
We gotta have first steps.
Okay, we'll do.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll just make one other comment. I love the idea of the grants. I almost never walk away from free money, and other people doing the research for it. So I appreciate the step. We just got to make sure that we get it all covered. So go get
Yeah.
that research and figure out if there's folks out there. I'm very appreciative of that. If there's something that can help us out, that'd be great.
What is the DNR grant that I think is impending, starting soon? Is there any component of that could,
There's a volunteer work component of it where volunteer hours would be utilized, but
but no, like, no,
I would have to talk to Stacy about it. Any waiver.
sure. It's really, I know like how taxing it is though, to make sure that you've got an educated coordinator to make sure people are safe in their volunteer work. Make sure they know what they're doing, or that you've got enough hands to make sure that they know what they're doing. I mean, it's great to have volunteers, but if you don't have someone who can wrap their head and arms around the work, it's sometimes it's not even worth.
Yeah, I would think if we don't come up with a grant opportunity, another venue would be to sort of try to partner more often with DRG and Stream Team and these groups that do have that infrastructure for someone to come out and do a safety talk and to work with the volunteers. There was one year where we did over 30 events, volunteer events. And so to get back up to that level again, but it's going to take all the partners and the stakeholders of the area, and we could find a way to get more of those onboarding it. But it's going to take, some leaders, the volunteer leaders, to say, okay, I'm going to do this month's volunteer project for the city. If we don't come up with something with the grant,
Well, I think
not to
those,
give up.
yeah, okay. I think a lot of those big initiatives that we do with the partner, those seem more like, honeysuckle sweeps, stream cleanups,
And
etc.
those are huge, because what happens is, so just to say, where are we going with this? So we are going somewhere. And so we started off with these large areas of honeysuckle that we got rid of. And then the next phase we planted, but that doesn't mean the honeysuckle is not going to come back and the vines are going to come back. So it's sort of a go in and do a maintenance. So it's actually a perfect opportunity to go in with these big groups and say, okay, like I'll make a difference day. I wanted her to be at Lorraine Davis. We're just gonna systematically go through it. Any new honeysuckle and any new vines that are growing over the stuff that we planted. And then it will be good for a couple of years. So there's definitely a goal in mind for that.
Great. Thank you, ladies. A lot of good work. I was excited that you got to go to the library and use that as a resource and connect with them. So thanks very much. Let's see, then the next item of business is the very quiet native plant subcommittee. So I don't think we really have an update at this point. Me too, for that. Then let's see, the trees of distinction update. That's coming, it's gonna be here before we know it, right? Every year we award a tree of distinction, and a tree steward. And we do that in conjunction with the Arbor Day celebration. And that is part of what the city needs to do. Just one of many things the city does to have an Arbor Day Foundation Tree City USA qualification. I'm guessing U City had one of those, yeah. So Laura is taking over the reins on this endeavor, and I'm just wondering, have you? We have one application that I know of that Emily got forwarded. Have you gotten any other
I don't know that
applications?
On any list of receiving, and I think Joe has some information.
Yeah, I meant to grab it, but I still need to get to you.
So they come to me, but I usually forward them to Joe, so I'll make sure. And if there hasn't been anything recent.
Okay.
Email from that gentleman.
Well, would you guys have any time to have a phone call or something to kind of do the handover of information? I could meet too if you want, or over a coffee or something.
When were you thinking? Weekend or an evening?
Do you want to text?
Yeah.
Let's text and we'll pick something. And I don't think it needs to take very long. I mean, maybe half an hour. We could have a coffee.
Were you able to catch up with Katie?
I did send her stuff. I have not seen the fall brochure, so I don't know. Oh, exciting.
Okay, maybe we'll get some.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll get
yeah, hopefully. We were able to put a little ad in there, and it would be good. I don't know if the trees of distinction aren't like big priority on all this great stuff that's happening in the city, but I don't know if we could get it mentioned in the one of the updates from the city.
Yeah, of course.
Do you have one scheduled anytime soon?
I don't, but I probably will outline
Maybe we could.
and keep that in mind.
Okay.
We can also forward stuff to Kiera.
Okay.
Oh, Friday page for sure, and then we have that once a month page in the Webster Kirkwood Times.
Do you want to work up a little thing for me, or just, I can send her
To who? To
if you send it to me, and then I can put in a work order for Karen.
yeah.
Put it on the Friday page.
Yeah. Do you want to coordinate that and like email me and we can pick up the narrative together? I'm sure we have something already written.
Okay. Yes.
And then that way you can be in coordination with Tierra.
Okay.
Through
Through Yvonne. Has to go through Yvonne.
Okay, so I send it, we will, once we figure out, we'll send it to you.
Yes.
Send it to you. Okay.
Yeah. Correct.
Are you okay for time, Karen?
I do have to go soon, but we're knocking it out, I think. Laura, did you have any other questions? If the three of us get on a little subcommittee
No.
text, okay. Yeah, why don't you just text us too and what
Okay.
time?
Okay.
I'm fine, weekend or as long as I don't have something going on. Okay, if there's no other questions about that, we go on to the Eco Ed series. I'm gonna pass this around for you guys to look at with a handout at the last Eco Ed series, which was September something. Third, second, something like that. It was, I didn't get to stay for the whole thing. But it was a, summary of the greenhouse gas emission, survey that was done, the study, basically. So are you guys gonna get an update on that? Yeah, cool.
October, one of the October council meetings.
Okay, so if you want to hear more about it, you're probably welcome to go to that council meeting. And then the upcoming Eco Ed series is October 1st at 5:30 in Larson Park. It's the Watershed Wander with David Wilson from Webster University Sustainability Department. I'm pretty excited about that. I hope it's a dry night. We'll probably be walking for an hour and a half, just talking about the watershed. If you want to come, it's a Tuesday evening at 5:30. I'm sorry, Liz.
I'm just saying, Yvonne sent that to me and I did go ahead and post that one in a bunch of places earlier.
Sweet, great. I think that'll be really an interesting one, but he'll be talking specifically about our watersheds. And do you know David Wilson?
I don't.
West Gateway or? Yeah, that's how I met him too, was through East West Gateway and some projects that I'd been working on. So, he knows so much and he's so passionate about it. Even though he's retired, he's still super passionate about it. So I'm excited about that. We're meeting at the Larson Park Pavilion at 5:30. I gave a plug for it at that at all the Eco Ed talks. We've been talking about them all. And I do have a sign. Did I get you the flyer? I need to get you the flyer. Oh, we had it at the workshop. We had it sitting out at the workshop, but I'll email it to you. Anybody have any questions about the Eco Ed? Okay, is anybody be able to go?
I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna try and
I might be able to go at the beginning because they're always on city council
Yeah, this is a little
night. It's a little
earlier.
earlier,
Yeah,
so.
and we are planning a different night for next year, just so you know. You come to, because you don't have anything else. Okay. All right, then this is the last one for the season, so if you guys have ideas, please email them to me and I'll get them to Karen Anderson from the Sustainability Commission. But I think they have a few lined up, so. Then I'll move on to new business. First item on here is term limits. We've got a couple of people with term limits up at the beginning of October. Corin is one of them, I believe. 10/19 expires, Corin, and Joe also 10/19. Yeah, and I thought this was a little strange, Emily, but I have copies of it. You took over someone else's term. Yeah, well, I still don't understand why that would be the case. Why they wouldn't. Yeah, okay, so I guess if you are not interested in continuing, let me know so that I can talk to Katie.
Okay.
And if you are interested in continuing, we need to get you in touch with Katie because you need to basically sort of reapply.
Okay, it's super brief though.
Yes. Ginger just went through it. So at your earliest convenience, let me know. Oh, I have lots more. Anybody else need one? If you're gonna renew, yeah, just contact.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, reach out to Katie and just let her know, do you wanna do that? That's great. Katie
Yeah.
Nuckett on it. And then if you don't want to continue, email me and let me know, and then I can talk to Katie and we can start getting the word out about. Okay. The last item, actually, it's not on here. I had another item of new business I wanted to add was just the Make a Difference Day date. Has that been set?
The 20th of October. They will also have, Deer Creek Water Town trash day.
Okay,
And I have a couple events that I'm working on setting up with Civic Rep.
do you need leaders?
Yeah.
What are the,
Be my leader for trash match.
Oh, yeah. And I should have wisdom grills.
Okay,
Some years it's like, nobody should, they ask me.
okay. So the three right now are trash bag, the honeysuckle, and the basic suite that Lorraine Davis. And then the Rotaries last year, they helped us clean up the community. And I'll be happy to add more if I have people who really dance.
Yvonne, did you say the 28th?
26th, I believe. Does that make more sense? What's the Saturday?
2/6?
26th of October?
A Thursday? Oh, October. Okay.
October.
Gotcha.
Gary.
Okay. A council, I think that's it then for new business, unless anybody else has anything to want. Okay. Council liaison update.
So nothing huge. Directly, we've got the couple. We'll have the comprehensive plan ongoing, and that website is up with information they gathered from the first kind of information gathering stage. And I'm trying to remember what website address is for that. I can find it for you, but it's the same website address that it was for the survey. So that's the comprehensive plan is ongoing. It's about a year, 18-month process overall. And then also there will be two charter amendments on the April ballot, so a little ways in advance. One is to kind of clarify the importance of public engagement, which is a new article. It basically says that that public engagement is important as we make decisions for the city. And then the other one is on council pay, which always feels a little bit weird to talk about, but council pay has not been increased for 60 years. So yeah, I'm not as worried about myself, but it can be a hindrance who feels like they can volunteer to serve, put themselves out there, because $20 a meeting does not pay for a sitter. So I think that it's reasonable. The Charter Review Advisory Board did a fantastic job in looking at what other communities do and trying to find kind of what the right level was for Webster. I think I guess I should say, speaking as an individual, I think that they hit that mark. Council members, we can only educate. We can't tell people how to vote. But both of those will be on the April ballot, and I think those will be the only two on the April ballot that I am aware of. So that's my thing.
Okay. I was just going to bring up Make a Difference Day, and if we could get a group or two to do the pollinator gardens, and even if that ends up being a Make a Difference Day project, that would be good. But I'll need someone to say, I'm going to be in charge. And I'll try to get as many volunteers as I can for you, but if you could just go around and hit those pollinator gardens for the last time for the year.
Which ones?
Ivy Crockett, Concrete Garden, City Hall, and then I know you've been helping Larson,
Yeah.
so that would be great.
I was thinking about that, so I'll email you. John.
Okay, so other than that,
Okay, does anyone wanna, well,
I can hit Ivy Crock.
well, you're gonna be stream teaming.
Well, that'll make a difference. Like if
Oh.
like before that, I could swing by and try to get some stuff. Are we thinking to save that so for Make a Difference Day?
no, it would be great if it was done sooner.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I can try to hit it. One of my kiddos, maybe two of my kiddos. Just the outside part, right? Like we
Just
I did
the-
with Jerry, just the outside.
At Ivy Crockett, just inside that split rail.
Oh, inside the split rail.
Inside,
Okay.
yes, that little triangular.
With him, I
garden.
only did like the outside
You
of the
did
split
one.
rail.
Yeah,
So just to clarify, you want someone to do it before Make a Difference Day?
ideally, but if it ends up where no one has time, then we can make it a difference day project.
What was the second place? I have Ivory Crockett City Hall.
And the concrete garden, which is, it's a bed, do you know where the above ground parking is in Old Webster? That kind of leads back. So it's, as you're pulling into that entrance, it's off to the right. There's two black gum trees and then there's sort of a little, two little beds there.
I could do one at City
Okay.
Hall or Concrete Garden. If
Okay.
You're gonna do Ivory.
I will try, like, I was thinking it was just gonna be the outside part again, like that was really. But
Maybe you should do Ivy Crockett as a Make a Difference Day,
Okay,
Do that.
and then on Make a Difference Day, I could do Larson,
okay.
and if you can get volunteers for that, great, if not, that's okay. And then you could
that
do City Hall, and
Yeah,
you could
that sounds
do Concrete
And
Garden.
it will be obvious to me.
Yeah, you can email me or text me or call me, and I can, should be,
So when you enter from Lockwood,
Mhm.
it's right on the right.
Right up next to the.
It's surrounded by concrete,
Hence-
hence the name.
So I could probably do that. Oh, Friday.
Okay. Yeah. And anything that's sort of overhanging the sidewalk, okay. And I'm happy to meet you up there too.
Yes, please, cause
You
I,
just text me.
okay, okay,
this week.
Sure.
so I'll drop like John off at school, I don't have to do high schoolers. Which I'd like to say all the high schoolers that walk by and wave to me, that was really nice. That was making. So wait, when do I drop? I drop her off at like 7:40-ish. I mean, I can be up there by 8. But
Okay,
I'll
that's
text you.
fine.
Okay, okay.
All right, well, then, when the, staff liaisons were given updates, but since you're not so new and you've already talked a bunch, I wouldn't ask you to do that, but,
Yeah.
that's what Yvonne was
Do you
doing,
have
so.
any updates?
The Stormwater Master Plan update coming up, but I'm not sure when yet.
Okay.
So I can let you know right away.
Great,
And so there's a consultant working on it. It's about 50% done. I think the collection is mostly done. So now it's how we lay out the plan and what will be the next steps from there.
like prioritizing the
Yes,
projects. Very good.
As you know, MSD now has the new funding approved, and so they have some money to address stormwater problems, as well as we would as well from that. So that's getting more attention.
Be interesting to see how much of that is green infrastructure versus gray infrastructure.
You to address it both ways. And the water quality as well as.
Oh, yeah. And that's a big part of what the DNR grant is, right? Water quality,
Did everyone get to see this?
I think so. Did you? Okay. All right, well, then I think we will adjourn. When is our next meeting? October 7th, so that'll be after tree planting. I will be in touch with an email about details for tree planting day, but it's we'll meet at the rec center, same place, right on the south,
Yeah,
south end in the parking lot.
there's a dumpster there.
Yes, by the dumpster. All right. Thank you guys very much.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye, Liz. That's probably a good idea.